open house is set for tonight in Fort Smith, where residents can share their input on what should happen to the former Acme Brick property.
Yeah, 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi joining us live from Fort Smith there with the latest on where the project stands. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tiffany. You know, the primary goal the city says for this land from the very beginning has been stormwater management as well as flood mitigation. But once that's all taken care of, there's some ideas floating around about what this over 100 acres can become for the city of Fort Smith. Now go ahead and take a look at your screen. This is the land that we are talking about. The city owns the land both east and west of Old Greenwood Road. That's what's highlighted or outlined, in red. Now circled in yellow is where the current Acme Brick building is. Fort Smith bought the land last year for just under $3 million. Now, ideas that have been floated around include selling it for commercial space or simply leaving it for water retention with native plants as well as grass. Sarah Duster, Parks and Rec Director, says, though, that there's early feedback from residents kind of points to a mountain biking trail as an idea for the land, citing its natural terrain, but also the limitations that come with it being for stormwater management.
I think the main priority for recreational amenities, and based on what the citizens have said so far, is mountain biking trails. There's some great terrain up there, and you know, with the stormwater, maybe a lot of that can't have a structure on it, so it's naturally inclined to be a mountain and biking type area. But there's also some nature-based play that we've been looking at, and maybe eventually converting the dry pond to a wet pond.
Now, Duster says that although she's the Parks and Rec Director, right, she says it's up to the people what they want for this land to be. She said she'd love for there to be some sort of public amenity, some sort of maybe mountain biking park, but she's like, if that's not what the citizens want, then maybe that's not what's best for this area. Now, people in Fort Smith can give their thoughts on what this land becomes at the meeting tonight. It runs from 4 to 6:30 at 121 Riverfront Drive right here in Fort Smith. Feel free to drop in at any time, not only to see the design ideas, but also to give your input. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you for that update, Jacob. Well, today, Fayetteville leaders will once again discuss a rezoning proposal for a new school campus. It's tied to the school's long-term plan for a new Ramey Junior High. 2 weeks ago, the council decided to leave the proposal for a second reading. After some public comment and debate, the superintendent is saying that the property on North Marks Mill Lane is the best location for the site, but some raising concerns about traffic and stormwater. Tonight's meeting starts at 5:30 at City Hall.
And in Fort Smith, city leaders are set to vote on a resolution impacting Parrot Island Water Park. The board of directors could approve a lease agreement with Sebastian County, giving Fort Smith full operational control of the park starting next year. This comes after Fort Smith leaders discussed a funding shortfall on their expansion project for the park. During a meeting in October, they said the plan to install 5 new water slides could cost the city over $2 million more than they had budgeted.
Also today, the Salem Springs Board of Directors will discuss an ordinance to raise utility rates. Now, if approved, water and wastewater rates would go up by 4% next year, while solid waste rates would go up by 20%. Board members are revisiting the issue after discussing it back on December 2nd. The agenda says that the city has seen rising costs for materials, labor, and more over the past 4 years. The city also mentioned the need to invest in infrastructure.
And the Fort Smith School Board is now being tasked with deciding what to do with 2 elementary schools. On Monday, the district made its formal recommendation to the school board to right-size Spalding and Carnell elementary schools. It means that schools could close and the students would attend other schools nearby. And that's not sitting well with at least one parent.
Parents and staff have been misinformed. Closing Carnell is not a simple or realistic solution. And finally, we must ask, why are there 5 other elementary schools, including Beard, that have depreciated far more than Carnell and are not being considered for closure first? Those were the schools the community expected to be discussed, not a well-maintained, newer building like Carnell.
The school board is set to vote on the matter next month.
The Washington County resident is suing the county over its use of federal COVID relief money, saying it's being used for jail expansion.
5 News reporter Lauren Spencer has more on what this lawsuit is alleging.
The lawsuit claims the county is illegally using more than $19 million in ARPA funds to expand the Washington County Detention Center for their COVID mitigation project. The suit was filed by Mac Mayfield, a local taxpayer and treasurer of the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition. AJRC filed a similar lawsuit back in June 2024, but it was dismissed earlier this year due to a lack of case law, they say. Mayfield is claiming county leaders ignored both the 2020 criminal justice assessment and voters who rejected the jail expansion in 2022. He also says federal treasury guidelines prohibit using ARPA funds to expand incarceration facilities and that county policies have contributed to overcrowding and increased detention.
They've also just ignored people right and left who have said, we really don't want to pay for it. We think it colors our community in a way that is not great for our future. We'd much rather build facilities for services and mental health than for incarceration.
We reached out to Washington County for a response, and they say that they haven't formally been served yet and can't comment until they are. In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
All right, thanks for that, Lauren. We will continue following the case and provide the latest updates on the lawsuit on our free 5 News app. Well, meanwhile, we're hearing from Fayetteville police after a Northwest Arkansas woman raised concerns about getting protection after leaving an abusive relationship.
She says the process was difficult and police are now addressing how victims can seek help. She tells us that she reported what she describes as stalking and identity fraud and sought a protective order but was denied. Police say making a report is the first step when someone feels unsafe.
They handled the initial investigation, taking reports, gathering evidence, and making arrests when possible. But police say protective orders are handled by the courts, not law enforcement.
An attorney.
The court can be reactive instead of proactive just based on what the law says. And so the judges can't do more than what the law allows them to do.
Home says its hotline is available 24/7. Fayetteville police adding that documenting what's happening, including texts, voicemails, and video, can help investigators.
Investigators are releasing new details in a deadly case involving filmmaker Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner. Police say the couple were found dead Sunday afternoon inside of their Brentwood, California home. Investigators report both victims suffered multiple stab wounds. Authorities have arrested the couple's youngest son, Nick Reiner, in connection with the killings. He's currently being held in a Los Angeles jail. Police initially set Nick Reiner's bail at $4 million, but officials later revoked bail as the investigation continues.
Investigators in Rhode Island have released new video of a person of interest in Saturday's deadly attack on Brown University's campus. 2 students were killed, 9 injured when the shooter opened fire at a classroom building during a final exam review. On Monday, the FBI cordoned off the building where the attack took place to sift through dumpsters in an effort to learn more about the shooter's identity.
This is an effort to put handcuffs on somebody, and it takes a whole team to do that.
Law enforcement officials say they hope the new video will help identify the person in this video and are offering a reward of up to $50,000.